So to discuss this and of course what we saw with the Fed as well, let's get into all things trading with our guest, Peter McGuire from XM. Peter, great to see you. Thanks for joining us at Ausbiz. I wanted to start with what we're seeing in the yen, because you did see a bit of a tumble after that BOJ decision. You've got the euro above 157.50 yen, the pound at 181.80, and the dollar near a 6-month peak. Is this more about the higher for longer US scenario, or is it about what we saw from the BOJ?
Well, good afternoon, Juliette. I tell you what, it's marching towards that 150 against the US dollar. You've got inflation slightly faster in August as far as consensus was concerned, and the BOJ target hovered above for the last 17 months. So where we're looking at the moment, I think you'll probably see some intervention if you do hit that 150. You're running at the moment about 148.30, 148.20. So the bears are in control, and I think there's still more movement to the as far as that yen in the short term.
Okay, so still more movement. I mean, do we sort of see the moves that we were seeing last year, or is there a bit more stability coming through for dollar yen?
Well, when you think about it, as far as intervention's concerned, I wouldn't be surprised that they might knock it back down to around about 145 with some central bank buying. So we're in the hands of the BOJ and how they want to interpret this. But I don't think they're going to allow it to get much above 150 or, to that sort of number. We've just got to see where it goes over the next, I'd say the rest of next week. And I don't think it's going to disappoint from a trading perspective.
All right, let's look more broadly, because we did mention as well what we heard from the FOMC, and you've kind of been looking at daily performance metrics. So the dollar, as we've been talking, shining, but equities and gold retreating.
Yes, absolutely. When you're looking at it and, when you punch that chart up, it's just quite incredible what you've seen. Big sell-offs as far as gold, as far as some of the, and WTI there. And as far as the energy sector, they've had a bit of a washout, but they've had retraced a little bit in the last probably 6 or 7 hours. And when you're thinking as far as currencies and what we've seen as movement, the Fed, it was quite an interesting point, because when you're thinking about central banks and their policies and how we're looking as far as the Fed moving forward in probably November, then I wouldn't be surprised, Juliette, to see more volatility running into Christmas across currency markets.
Yeah, certainly very interesting when you look at that chart, and also what you've seen in the underperformance there of WTI versus the Swiss franc. What sort of momentum correlation, I guess, are you drawing from there when we know that is a safe haven?
Well, it very much is, and we're conscious as far as the Swiss bank and their policy, and it's been a standout this year as far as movement. That and the British pound have been off the charts. That they've offered the two of the most hotly traded currencies for the year. So I don't think it's going to disappoint moving forward either, running up to Christmas. And as far as WTI, well, it gave back, and so did Brent. They gave back a bit of steam, but they've since got a giddy up in the last few hours, because you've got WTI back at $90.30 and you've got Brent nearly at $94. So possibly you're going to see higher energy prices running into the end of the month.
All right, let's get now in terms of what we're seeing with the pound, and you've got the bears firmly in control. They look determined, you're saying, to push the pound towards those March lows against the dollar.
Absolutely. You're registering that to nearly a 6-month low. Strong bearish trends. It's been in place since really the 14th of July, and it's just been nearly one-way traffic. All the momentum indicators are clearly supporting the current down leg. So where we're looking at the moment is a continuation as far as softness for the pound. And the Bank of England, they didn't see any move. Governor Bailey didn't see a move. He was just on that, he was the decisive vote, Juliette, 5-4. It was 4-all, and his vote came in. So there was no move as far as rate policy for the Bank of England. And we've just got to see whether they do the same in October or November.
Indeed. All right. That's quite extraordinary, particularly when you look at that momentum that we had seen in March there as well, and that ratchet higher. Let's move back to oil. You did touch on oil a little moment ago, but futures here turning positive after that pullback from a 10-month high. The bulls kind of in control here?
I think so, very much so. And naturally, as you know, markets, they get to a point that they become exhausted to the upside. And I think we saw that midweek, and they gave back a little bit in profit taking. And then they, had a little bit of a holiday for possibly 6 or 8 hours. And then they're off the races again, trending north. So I think that there's, again, upside. I'll be interested to see how they trade tonight in New York and next week leading up to the end of the month. Brent's got the capacity to be at 96.5 by end of next week. So I think WTI will be through $92. So it's a bit of move to the upside, and it's fairly bullish at the moment.
Yeah, and we're all looking to see when it might hit 100 as well. I love that you've got the upper Bollinger Band. That's always my favourite, particularly on a Friday, loving to talk about Bollinger. But let's talk about the Fibonacci as well. You say that this is going to depend further gains on whether that 50% retracement can be overcome.
Well, exactly right. You're looking at your technicals, and there's a big push at the upside as far as hedge funds and retail traders, and everyone's I think piling into the upside. So and trending upwards. So I think that where you're looking at it at the moment, there seems to be movement, there seems to be opportunity, and that's what retail traders are all over. Those big sweeping changes, and the market doesn't sleep, Juliette. So it's offering plenty of excitement.
It certainly doesn't. Doesn't look like you do either, Peter. I know you've been wowing us with a lot of your insights this week, so we thank you a lot for that. I wanted to also talk to you about what we've been seeing with technical analysis on cash. So US 100 cash index lower again. Does this sell-off have legs?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you're sitting there at about just under 14,700, and it seems to have, the chance that we're going to edge lower from here. Where you're looking at that, I mean, they're your largest 100 tech stocks, and you're sitting, the pullback could continue according to the momentum indicators, where we're seeing that, Juliette. Bears are trying to recover part of their significant losses from March, where we saw those March 23 lows. And we've just got to see whether that continuation leading into earnings next month. That's going to be an interesting time, how the earnings perform, and I'm looking forward to, maybe strap yourself in for that tech sector over the next couple of months leading into Christmas.
Yeah, I was going to say that pink line, I just can't quite read it, but it's looking potentially a little bit shaky on that downward trend there. What are you expecting as we come into AGM season and earnings season?
I want to see, it's too hard to go out and, I'm waiting for the analysts, and I want to see, performance and, guidance, and where the big analysts probably view the market. And I'm just sitting here, probably more to the point, I don't really want to go out on a limb and spook anyone. I just want to see what the market does, because we're in very, very interesting territory. We're just over a year from an election, and there's a lot of moving parts, considering you've got energy prices back above 90, Juliette, and that could be a real handbrake to a lot of these large companies.
All right, we will continue to monitor. Peter, thanks so much for joining us on The Trade.